Irashamase!
Welcome to another episode of Bowl of Men.
Hey guys, I'm Diego.
Hey, I'm JT.
I'm Carlos, and we got producer San Ev on the levels over there.
Hey, how's it going?
So today's episode, we are going to be covering isekai anime. So isekai as the genre, not necessarily
very popular topic.
Yeah, it's I would definitely argue that it's probably like the hot genre for like current seasons. You know what I'm saying? Like last season, this season,
like,
upcoming
for the
season.
past couple of, I'd say, current years, it's been popping up,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I feel like it's definitely been ramping up. Like you get more releases per season of like new isekai anime.
Kind of crazy because like you ask people and they're like, you ask them like, oh, you watch any isekai? And they're like, what's that? You
Yeah,
know?
they're like, huh?
And you're like,
Yeah, it's weird that there's for it being so popular. I feel like there's still a big chunk of people that don't know what isekai anime is.
yeah, and it's, I don't really blame them because like they might watch isekai without even knowing what it is.
Oh yeah, very true. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Well, so I guess for those of you listening that don't know what isekai anime is, essentially it is where someone in our world, current world, this world, dies, gets killed, or maybe just gets summoned.
Reads a magazine.
Reads a magazine. They bump into a door.
Plays
Walk
video
outside
games.
a convenience store.
Plays
Who knows?
MMORPG.
A white truck just drives by and slaps him in the chest.
Yeah.
No, so basically someone gets killed, or maybe they don't have to die, but
The
they'll
most stereotypical one, they die.
Yeah, most stereotypical, they'll die, but they'll either get summoned or reborn in an alternate fantasy world. Usually it's fantasy. It's not always fantasy, but they're in one world and now they're in another. Usually they're tasked with saving the world,
Yeah.
fighting the demon lord, pretty standard fantasy
like,
stuff, I would say.
It's usually like, they die or like they get summoned and their job is like how Carlos said, save the world. But they always like get summoned as like the strongest hero. You know?
Yeah. 9 times out of 10, they're usually like stupid OP.
Yeah.
It's like they sneeze and like half the world's gone.
Demolished.
Yeah, it's not every isekai, but a good majority of them are. So
I'd say my favorite are the ones where like he starts from like nothing and he becomes like the strongest, like where he earned it. He earned the rights.
yeah, like you'll have some every now and then where they're there and they're already like stupid OP, but then you have like a good gem here and there where like shows like a training montage or whatever, or like of just them having to climb the steps to get to the point of being like OP. But so I would say that's probably like a good like generalization of like what isekai anime is.
Don't get me wrong. There's also reverse isekai.
Oh yeah. So it's essentially what we just said, but the opposite. So normally, like if this other world, they summon someone from the human world into their world to be the hero. This is someone in the human world summoning somebody else, like the demon or somebody from this fantasy world into the human world.
Yeah, like just this anime called what was it called?
Which one?
Devil's a part-timer. Like he's like the
Oh yeah, so I would say that's probably like the most popular one.
Yeah,
like
it's very popular. Like around 2018, 2017.
Yeah, I feel like, but I mean for like reverse isekai.
Yeah,
like when I think reverse isekai, that's like the one that I think of.
Yeah, so basically he's like the king of he's like the demon lord of the underworld or whatever, and he gets summoned to like just like Japan,
Yeah, he like goes through like a portal to escape and then like just ends up in Japan.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much just like shenanigans of him trying to So I guess this is kind of to take it back a little bit. If you watch any fantasy anime, usually there's like magic or swords and shields, like all that stuff, but magic's usually like the big one. You get like the magic circles or summoning circles or this and that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's usually the big one, is there's magic involved in this world. So for Devil's a part-timer, he has magic in his world. So the catch to that is that when he comes to our world, lacking in magic. Like he's not all powerful anymore. So he's got to, like, his thing is trying to climb the ranks to become the Lord. He wants to get that old power he has, but because there's no magic, he has to find like a normal route to get there. So Devil's a part-timer. He goes and gets a part-time job. He's making money. He learns like how the human world works, that like money is power. So he's like, okay,
Yeah.
I need to amount all the money and riches I can, and eventually I'll end up in the head honcho seat.
So yeah, it's pretty good comedy anime. It's
Yeah.
like a slice of life also.
Yeah, so I don't know, as far as like an introduction to isekai anime, I don't know how that fares up. Like, I don't know.
That's the first one I've seen. It kind of like got you used to of someone
Like the
transporting
idea
into
of
another
someone
world.
coming to
Yeah.
another world.
Mm.
So like, okay, and then I guess a shout out, a super smooth segue to a hot one you watched is the Kemono Michi Rise
Oh,
Up. Okay, so we'll go into that one a little bit later. But how does that stack up as far as like getting used to the whole somebody transferring over? Like, was it more relatable, easier to understand because they came into, quote unquote, our world and, going by our rules? Like, did that make more sense, or was it like the transfer of someone into a fantasy world? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. Which way was easier
yeah, for you to like
to understand?
Yeah, I guess to like understand, or like, did it just make sense? Like, was it,
So,
relatable?
before he goes into that, just so the audience knows, Ev is not a huge fantasy fan.
Yeah, I've been more into it every once in a while. Like I've gotten used to it. I've seen a little more here and there, but I'm still kind of new into it.
Yeah, it's new into the whole anime scene.
Yeah, right. Just anime in general.
Yeah.
And fantasy even less so. I guess that's a good way. So that's kind of why I throw it over to him, just to kind of get that impartial. Because me, like, I tear up some fantasy. I love me some fantasy anime. So it's someone could say that I'm biased. So I just kind of like to throw it over to someone who isn't as or isn't viewing it through rose tinted lenses. But yeah, no. So like, was it relatable? Did it make more sense? Was it like hard to keep up with? You know what I'm saying? Like, was it?
Yeah. Well, I'm guessing. Well, for me, the wrestler one,
Kemono Michi?
that one. I think that was a little more relatable because it was like, it's kind of like you sometimes fantasize what would happen if this were the case. Like if I was to be summoned into like
Yeah.
a fantasy world. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. Okay,
It was more relatable
because
that
the
way.
pro tag is coming from our world.
Yeah.
So he goes by like our rules as opposed to someone who's like coming in. I guess like usually the protagonist is someone that you can either relate to or
Yeah.
Like just a normal guy or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. So I guess in Devil's a Part-Timer, when they come in, it's not someone you can relate to
it's like
because
it's
Because he's
Demon
already a
Lord.
lord.
yeah.
It's a demon.
So
lord,
they
yeah.
just have to. They're in a foreign environment,
Mhm.
and therefore, I guess you're in a foreign environment.
Yeah,
So
the difference between those two animes is like, yeah, Demon Lord, he just ends up being like one of us, like working at like
yeah,
McDonald's,
Yeah.
like a daily life,
McDonald's.
living
McDonald's.
living at
Copyright?
an apartment with like other people, and that's like any other.
Boring
Yeah,
basic
right.
life.
But like Kemono Michi Rise Up, it's like shenanigans every day,
yeah. Okay, so I guess to let people know what that one is. All right, so just to kind of step back outside of the podcast, we're gonna kind of hit or touch up on these anime just in case there are some of you veteran watchers who already know what it is. We don't really want to bore y'all with the plot of this anime you've already seen. But for some of you newer reviewers who maybe want to dip your toes into the fantasy or isekai world, we'll give you just a wet your whistle and let you know what it's about. And so in Kemono Michi, it's essentially a wrestler. He does, I don't know if you ever watched WWE or something like that, but it's, as fantastical as it is, they're jumping from the top turnbuckle and frog splash and doing this and that. He's fighting and all that. And in his case, he doesn't die, but he gets summoned, right? So he's like midair about to like body slam somebody, and he gets, transported into another world. And as per usual, he's tasked with fighting the Demon Lord. But this guy, he's like an animal-loving freak, and at the thought of having to fight a monster, he's all like, "Nah, no way, dude." So he ends up like suplexing the princess, which is like a really funny scene. So then he goes, the normal adventures and all that in what would be a fantasy, or is a fantasy world, but would be like a typical isekai of having to fight the demon lord. But he's like, nah, fam, I want to make a pet shop. So he goes out and it's just the shenanigans.
Yeah, and like the thing about this world where he was teleported to or whatever was that they're surrounded by like creatures, and these creatures are like deadly. His task was to like defeat all the creatures to save their world, and this world doesn't understand the concept of pets, because all the creatures are like deadly.
Yeah, because to them it's just like you go to the neighborhood guilds, and they're just like there's quests to go slay these monsters. But
like
he's over here like so he's over here like catching them and like pet shop, come by, like trying to find good homes for them and stuff. But it's just normal shenanigans. That's really like my favorite thing that I guess differentiates it from a standard isekai. It's not him going out and fighting the demon lord and questing and stuff like that. It's just him like meeting these people and him trying to get his pet shop going. He's not the super like crazy OP guy or anything. He's a wrestler. He's like running around in his like thong or whatever it is, his spandex.
Speedo.
Yeah, the speedo. And they're
getting
like
accused of being a pedophile.
Yeah, man. They're like, you pervert.
Yeah.
Like, it's a really good time.
Yeah. If you're just getting into like this whole isekai genre, that's a really good one.
Yeah, actually, I think this would be a really good like intro to isekai, just because like you don't have to deal with the super OP protag or like this
it's nothing like there's not like a huge story, it's just like it's kind of like the same thing.
Does it fall under slice of life? Does that? No, not.
More action.
It's like not really actiony. It's just really like goofy,
Yeah.
That's all it is. Like, sure, the first couple episodes you have to like kind of pay attention to, but then after that, it's just like, kind of goofy.
Yeah, it's just them. Yeah, it's shenanigans. That's really the best word to sum it up.
A genre for that, like specifically just shenanigans.
Comedy, I guess.
Yeah. There you go. That's one.
Just comedy, yeah.
But no, it's like, so I would recommend it, honestly, as like maybe it's also pretty easy on the eyes for fantasy, I would say. You're not overwhelmed with all this like crazy lore about like how the currency works or like what are the rules to this world. It's like they give it to you pretty straight.
Yeah, and it's not like the main protag is like overwhelmed like with this world. Like his main goal is just make a pet shop. He doesn't even care that he got like summoned to this other world. He's just like, I gotta make a pet shop. It's like, what do you mean you want me to slay all these creatures? No, I'm gonna take them in and start like open my pet shop.
Yeah. So it's like I would say, I never really gave it much thought, but this is actually a really good like intro to isekai and fantasy.
Yeah, like other isekais, just like it's like, like, what am I doing here? I gotta go back.
Yeah, they're usually just fed up with like, oh, we gotta get out of here. Like, how can I get back home or something? But
yeah, it's like you must slay the demon lord. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, and so actually, I guess to like move it on that topic of like slaying the demon lord, I would say Rising of a Shield Hero.
Yeah,
that's a pretty good one. Came out last year.
Shoot, maybe 2 years ago, man. Like
what? 2 years?
Time flies by.
Time flies by when you're in another world.
JT, do you know whenever it came out?
Off the top of my head, no.
All right, well, go ahead and slap a quick Google search for me, please, sir.
January 2019.
Damn.
Yeah, that was last year.
Last year?
Yeah.
January? Yeah.
January last
Close to 2 years ago.
Yeah,
close.
True. Coming up on it.
Winter. Yeah. Okay.
Well,
but yeah.
So essentially in this one I would say is on the flip side of that coin. Super fantasy and it's super isekai.
Super serious.
Super
like,
serious.
I recently actually saw this one like 2 days ago. Like I've seen it before, but I never finished it because I was watching it as it came out. So, I was watching a bunch of anime and I just like kind of dropped it off. And I finished it 2 days ago. And this anime, man, it's a tearjerker.
Yeah, right?
Episode like 14, I'm like, man. It's like just
wipe the tears, sweating from my eyes.
Oh man, like sure it's like super serious, but dude, like this anime is crazy. I didn't like how it ended, but that doesn't stop me from like it wouldn't stop me from rewatching it.
Right.
Yeah.
What about recommending it?
Dude, I'd recommend
Yeah?
it to like
Okay.
Ev, like right on the spot. I'm like, dude, you gotta
Yeah.
watch this anime, man.
So now this one, I'm a big fan of, trashy, like no plot, super OP. Like
Yeah,
I like turning my brain off, but that just allows me to appreciate when there's like serious topics or like heavy plot, like
mm-hmm.
you need the dark to appreciate the light kind of thing.
Yeah,
And so this one, it starts off, gets summoned. He's doing his own thing, gets summoned to another world,
yeah.
tasked with defeating this greater evil.
Which is like the waves of like what I forgot to call, but they're like basically waves of like catastrophe.
Yeah, there you go,
Waves-
catastrophes.
Waves of catastrophe that just like come every like so often, right?
And it's kind of like in a video game where it's just like horde mode. You just got to survive a certain amount of
Nightmare.
time.
It's like an event, right?
Yeah,
Or, like,
yeah.
it's like
Oh
an
no,
event.
there's like boss waves, huh? There's like a
Yeah.
boss per wave that they have to
Yeah,
defeat to
it's
make
like-
it go away.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so it's standard stuff. He gets summoned with 4 other people. So it's the sword hero, the
But-
bow hero. What's up?
Okay, yeah. So yeah, keep going.
Okay,
It's
yeah.
like-
So it's the sword hero, the bow hero, spear hero, and then
Spear.
him, the shield hero.
and okay, but before you continue, so like all of these guys are summoned from Japan, but different alternate universes from Japan.
Yeah. Was it alternate universe or alternate timelines?
Alternate
Or
universes.
timelines is the same,
So,
but
like,
times.
They're like who's like the president of you're like president of Japan or whatever, and they all answered like different
People.
people and
Yeah.
like different like history answers,
Which is really cool because they're not like
Mhm.
from the same time, they're all
And they're all like
different worlds. It like kind of, I
Mhm.
guess, just like cements the fact that it's like there's different worlds, like,
yeah
but yeah, so they're tasked with they're filled in. They're just like, hey man, like listen, this is the rundown, this is what's happening.
like you're the heroes. You must
Yeah.
like you are the heroes of this world.
Yeah,
Like
it's-
your job is to like defeat the waves of catastrophe.
And some of them are like against it, some of them are cool with it. Our pro tag, he's just kind of like,
No, he was like
Yes.
super chipper about it.
yeah, he
you
was
know?
like, all right, that's cool. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
bet, I'm all about it.
yeah
So next day or something like that, they're tasked with forming parties.
yeah
And the kingdom, they're like in front of the king, and the kingdom's like, or the king is like, hey, here are the best, or not the best, but
Warriors.
here's some adventures.
yeah
And it's kind of like a scene out of like
Kickball or some
kickball
shit.
that day at school.
Yeah.
Like he's our pro tag last pick, or he gets nobody. Like no one
Yeah.
chooses to be on his team, and you kind of start to get cued in that no one really likes the shield hero. So in this world, there's different iterations.
mm-hmm.
Like these teams of 4, like they're not the first. Like it's happened several times. Like the first set of 4 comes, they do their thing, time skip, another 4 come, rinse and repeat. It just keeps happening. And so from this, no one really likes the shield hero, and he doesn't know why. He's a new guy. He's made no reputation for himself.
Yeah, like even the other 3 guys, like the sword, spear, and bow guy, since they're from Japan, they're all gamers. They're like, dude, like even everybody knows, even every gamer knows, like Shield's the worst. You
Yeah.
know? I'm like, it's true, dude. Nobody likes a guy who just runs around with
yeah,
the shield.
all defense, no attack. You get no glamour or anything.
Yeah. But yeah, that's essentially what they burn in your head. Like shield hero is like nobody likes the shield hero, and it's just because of like the past of like what happened in the past, and it's like, well, yeah, that's the past, but this is like the present now, and there's like a cult that's just like throughout the whole anime that's like that's just against like the whole shield hero guy that's just trying to bring him down the whole time.
Do they ever go in depth why?
It's,
Like what the last shield hero did to ruin it for, or is it
I
just
think-
that like shield hero's so OP that they're just like spit
So like
spit on his name.
So I think it was like the last shield hero that like did something to the king, right? Like I think it like, kind of ruined like the king's family or some shit like that.
Oh yeah, okay, I remember. But
Yeah.
so anyways, in this one, kind of going against the norm, the pro tag is just like getting shit on left and right. Like,
Well, go back to like whenever they're picking out.
well, so I don't kind of want to go into spoilers. I feel like that's like spoily-ish.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it is, but I think it's kind of like a big,
I
like
think
it
that's
kind
his
of shakes
first
the
episode.
Yeah, no,
That's
it's the first episode, but it's just it's so like
Okay, yeah,
it, like,
like you
slaps you
want
on
to
the
you
mouth.
want to experience
Yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah.
Like you want to see, yeah.
yeah. So he can't catch a break, and it's just like you see this like you said, super chipper, super nice guy come through. He's all about it. Like, yeah, I'll fight your war or whatever it is, and you just see him getting beat and beat and beat, and by like midway through, especially the end, he's like a completely different person.
Mhm.
Right? Normally you see these people that have like a redemption arc, or like you see them go from like weak to strong, but it's weird seeing that happen in reverse. Like a nice guy just
Mhm.
like
He can't
lose
trust
all
anybody.
his trust in
Yeah.
people in the world. Like he's just like, why should I fight for you? Why? You know, and he's just like,
It's like,
but he keeps going. Like he
he's
just
like, I put all my trust in you, and you can't, return that.
yeah. So then like all the other because of things that happen, the other people that got summoned with him, they hate him now. You get eventually you find out that the shield hero is just like despicable. You
Mhm.
hate him. Everybody hates him. Now he understands, but he's just confused. He's like, dude, I've literally done nothing. I'm here to save y'all, and this is how y'all treat me. So it's like a tearjerker. It's like it sucks seeing your pro tag just like getting like thrown around and all this.
Yeah.
And
The thing about it is like you watch anime and like you get these pro tags that are like super loud, like super like oh my family died, so I'm gonna avenge them.
yeah.
But this one's like the pro tag's like an asshole,
Yeah.
And it's like that's kind of what I liked about it, because like
He's
like,
not
he'll
like
save like a village, and he's like yeah, sure, I'll save your village, but give me all your money.
Yeah.
Because like
it's gonna cost you.
he doesn't want to make a name for himself. He didn't like.
Yeah, he doesn't care about like trying to fix this reputation that
Mhm.
he did nothing to get,
Yeah.
So I guess like in that it's like, okay, this y'all already think about this. There's no point in me fixing that. Like,
Yeah.
screw it. I'm just gonna like give me your money. Like,
So
it's
would
a-
you say like the main character would be like not really the villain, but like
No, he's not a. He's
an
not a
anti-hero?
antagonist yeah, in
maybe
a way.
anti-hero?
No,
Yeah.
because like he would use. So he's like, yeah, I'll save your village, but I need 500 like.
Yeah, it's
silver
not like
coins.
it's not
And
like
then-
usual anime where he's just like, don't worry about it. Like
Yeah.
it's just
But
me
then-
being good. No, he's like, hey, I need supplies. Like,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Wait, but then he'd be all like, he's like, yeah, I need 500 silver coins, right? He saves the village. They come back with the 500 silver coins, like, oh, thanks, Shield Hero, for saving us. And he's like, all right, use that 500 silver coins to buy holy water to like, heal the wounded, So he's like, yeah, he comes in like really rough, but at the end, like, he's a
got
nice guy.
good
So he's like
intentions.
he's got purpose. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
he's
that's the thing is that like he's not really like bound by any type of
He's like,
like
a rogue. He's
societal
rogue.
obligation. He's just
Mhm.
doing him. He's just vibing.
He's like a mercenary.
yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
But yeah, it's like it's a really cool like I don't know, for a character it's like really cool. Sometimes it's annoying whenever it's like he does something good but he doesn't seek credit for it, but it's just like, bro, it's like speak up just this once, like
Yeah.
please, like just let them know that you're the good guy. But he's just like, nah, man, like
Hard headed.
he's like, I'm out.
because
Deuces,
like no
hate
matter
you.
what, even if he were to speak out, like nobody were to trust him.
Yeah, no one's
nobody
like
would believe him.
listens to you. But there is this part to kind of go in that like he ends up I don't know, he ends up getting a party, right?
Mm-hmm.
He finds someone that like she like if you've seen any of the cover art, Raftalia, the little raccoon girl,
Yes,
yeah.
raccoon.
He like saves her as a slave, and she like adores this man, but because of like what happened to him, he doesn't trust her. But anyway, so he ends up trying to level them up because they've hit their cap. Like they can't. It's like they have a class,
Mm-hmm.
but they need to level up or like prestige almost,
Yeah.
to get subclasses so that they can continue leveling.
Mm-hmm.
But they won't let him do that
Yeah, they're all
because
like,
that's the Shield Heroes party, because
Mhm.
they have to go back to the kingdom, to this like main church,
yeah.
and with this big like hourglass
Yeah.
thing to level up to prestige.
They
you
go
know,
they go
Mhm.
up there and he's all like the church lady. They're all like, yeah, it's gonna cost you 50 gold coins, which is like a lot, right?
it's like a stupid.
And then
amount.
he's all like, he whips it out. It's like,
Yeah.
and he like, it's all like, yeah, he's got the 50 gold coins. because like the king never gave him like any money to begin with.
Yeah.
And the ladies are like, it's like, whoa, you know, that's a lot of money. And then like this other lady comes back and she's like, actually, you can't do that. It's like king's orders.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Ice cream machine broke. Get out.
Yeah. So then like he has to travel like across the whole like world or whatever.
He's got to
you
go
know?
to the next
Yeah, the
hourglass thing.
Yeah, so they actually accept him. I'm like,
But-
dude, that sucks, you know.
Yeah,
like,
but
he's
it's
treated,
just
he's
to-
treated like trash
Yeah.
throughout this whole anime, you know.
That's it's pretty much it's rough. But then at
Mhm.
the end, it's like this super like gratifying like
Mhm.
scene that's just like, yeah, like, you know, it's like I did put up 20 plus episodes for, you know, him getting him kicked around, you know. So it's like you see it and you're just like, yeah, dude,
It's like
get
it's
him.
worth it, man. It's
Yeah,
worth the watch.
Definitely worth. It's like I think it deserves all the hype it got.
Yeah.
100%. 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, what's the name again?
Rising of the Shield Hero.
All right.
Yeah, slap that on your list. Type it. I want to see you
I'm doing
type it
it
right
right
now.
Top priority.
Top priority. No, on a top priority list, one of my personal favorites, Overlord.
How many times have you seen that?
Dude,
10 times?
Like,
you were about to
dude,
watch
yeah, I
it
was
2
about-
days ago.
So I was actually after one of our like last recording sessions, I was telling Diego, I was like, yeah, man, like I don't know what to watch because like we're kind of like in our like downtime of like doing research for the
Mhm.
show. So I was like, man, I don't know what to watch, man. I was like, I think I'm just gonna rewatch Overlord for like the fifth
I
time.
was telling Carlos, I'm like, I got some hidden gems,
Yeah.
man. I'm like, watch this. Like, I already seen all those.
Yeah,
And I'm like, bro.
I was like, get him out my face,
yeah.
bro.
And then I'm
Uh,
like, all right, well, we're doing Isekai episode. I'm like, how about you watch this? And he's like, I don't know. And I think you brought it up, Tanya, right?
No, you brought it up, Tanya,
Yeah.
to watch Saga of Tanya the Evil, which is on the list, and I do want to get around to. It's that one. I don't know. I feel like I should just talk about that one while we're like already here. Come back to Overlord, maybe.
Yeah.
So Saga of Tanya the Evil, is one of those that like I judged the cover of, you know,
Yeah, me
very
too.
harshly.
Me too, man.
It's like this little girl on the cover. She's wearing this like military outfit, and she's like, it's kind of like a down. It's like her face.
Forehead.
Yeah, her face just looks weird. And like scrolling by, I'd see it, and I was like, ew, this is gross. And then I like read the synopsis, and yeah, there you go. And I would read the synopsis for it, and it was just kind of confusing. And I was like, nah, not for me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyways, come to watch it, found out it is exactly the type of anime for me. It's like it hit all the checks on like my like guilty pleasure animes. Like,
I tried watching it whenever it nearly came out. I watched the first episode and I'm like, it's so weird. Like the first episode just kind of throws me off, and I'm like, what is this anime trying to be? I'm like, war with fantasy, and I know I just stopped watching. I kind of dropped on the first episode, which is like my mistake. And I know Carlos recently watched it, and I asked him like, how far do you have to go before like it starts getting good, before it starts like making sense? And he told me 3. I'm like,
yeah,
Well,
definitely 3. And I think they did a really good job. 3 was like a good number for it, where it's like first one, it's like here's the world, a tiny bit of world building.
yeah,
Episode 2, they show you how he got isekai'd. And so the thing about this one that's really cool, which is like a weird twist, is that like you see it's this little girl, she's the main protag, but goes to that episode 2 where it shows you the guy getting isekai'd. He's like some like 30-40-year-old dude. He works for this like large company, and he's the guy who fires people. So he's just, and he gets like enjoyment out of it, because to him he's just following orders. Like that's his like path to the top. And he's all like, hey, I'm just following orders. Gotta do me. Next thing you know, I'll be sitting in that CEO chair or whatever.
I actually knew a guy like that.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
he actually did make it to the top too.
What?
Damn.
Yeah.
Man, well, in this anime, she made it to the top. No, she didn't. She made it pretty close though. But anyways,
It was fucking. There you go.
and so it's the mind of this like twisted old guy, like in the body of this little girl, and she's like going around, and people see it, and they're like, or they're on this battlefield, and she's going around like killing dudes, and they're like, well, she's younger than my daughter. I think she's like 11. Like by the end of it, like
Yeah.
she has a birthday, so she turns out, so she's 10, 11 years old. It's cool, because I think this one, most isekai where someone dies, like this one, it's just like snap,
Fantasy.
new world. They're in
Yeah.
a fantasy world. It's them being them. But this one, he has like, it's like a 5-minute conversation with God, or he calls him being X because he doesn't believe in God.
Okay.
And so they have this like crazy conversation that essentially sums up to, why should I have to worship you when, you know, I'm chilling? Like everything I've done for myself is to get me in the position that I'm at.
Yeah.
And God's like, oh, so you mean to tell me that you're not worshiping me because everything's been handed to you? I bet. And the guy's like, oh, no, that's not what I said. And he's all like, so if you had a harder time in life, you'd be worshiping me? Say less. And so he reincarnates him in this like alternate history / world about the time World War I is happening. He reincarnates him as this little girl in an orphanage, like just starving, having to like
how old would you say she was? Or he
no, like
was?
born, like he was like
Born?
it shows you like her
Oh,
as a little
okay.
baby crying like in a swaddle,
Mm.
and they're like feeding her, and yeah, and then they're like, she's like, oh yeah, eat up, Tanya, and he's all like it's his mind, like his voice inside his head, he's like, Tanya, wait, is that me? Am I Tanya? And he like it shows like the baby's head kind of like rolling over and looking in a mirror, and he's like, is that me? Like he's just like angry, and but yeah, him being like the determined like type of dude he is, he's all like, hears that there's a war going on, and he's like, bet I jump on that train and I'm gonna head straight to the top. He enlists in the military. So the reason why I say alternate history timeline world is that there is magic in this world, but it is, I was looking at the map, and it's that Europe, Asia continent, see Spain, England, you know, I'm assuming he's or she is fighting for Germany in this world. There's different banners and stuff, but yeah, man, and it's just this like sick twisted dude, but this little girl, so sick twisted little girl, just like going around like killing people, and it shows you like he's super strategic with like where, like how to do things and where to go, and it's really good, honestly. It's just, it took me by surprise. Like I judged it pretty harshly off of that, just the cover. You know?
I judged it on the first episode. It was really confusing. I guess you said the second episode is where like it shows him getting isekai. Yeah, I'm like, how is this an isekai if like it doesn't show him getting, or show her or him getting isekai?
So I thought, based off like the synopsis and like looking at the cover, I thought it was just a little girl being like evil.
Yeah,
like,
I was like, what? Like, it doesn't make any sense. So I just stopped watching it.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily that she's evil, but it's just that he's selfish, you know?
Selfish.
It's a preservation of oneself. He's just like, oh, whatever gets me to the rear guard, whatever gets me like in the capital, like just living a lavish life away from the war. But then it ends up just like, he kind of like screws himself over and ends up just being like too good. And they're just like, yeah, this person's too good for us to just have lazing about the capital, like send him to the front lines. Like that's how we win. Super cool. It's like a weird twist on it. I was telling everybody that it like didn't click for me that it's like World War I until this scene where this dude's just like blasting them with a shotgun, and Tanya's like, what, is that a trench gun? Like, oh, that's against the treaty, you barbarians, or whatever. And I was thinking, I was like, oh, that guy must be fighting with the Americans, because in history, and I can't really remember if it's World War I or World War II, but I would say the Americans got like backlash, or not backlash, but the Germans were like, you guys can't be using shotguns, like that's no fair, because they would just like go in and wreck these trenches with these shotguns. But yeah, it was a funny little bit, like that's when it clicked, and I was like, oh, okay, 1925, like all right, I guess that's looking at the continent stuff. But
how many episodes did you say there was?
13, I believe.
Does it look like they're going to be a season 2?
Yes, yeah, they definitely set it up, and I don't know how I feel about that, but what's up?
So in actuality, they have a movie out.
What?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Right.
Guess I know what I'm watching later. But yeah, they end it actually pretty cool. Yeah, they definitely set it up where it's just like, and that's kind of, I didn't like it, honestly. Like the last few episodes, like they finished the war. Unlike regular history, the bad guys win this time. Like Germany wins. It's not Germany. They don't say the names.
Yeah.
Like they have a disclaimer that's like any likenesses or anything. It doesn't mean anything.
It's a work of
Yeah, it's a work of fiction. Good guys get away. Okay, I keep saying good guys as if it's the real world. Tanya's army.
Germany gets away.
Yeah, right. Tanya's army, or the army that Tanya's fighting on, they end up pushing this one army into the corner. They jump on a boat. They leave. Tanya's like, nah, let me chase them. They're like, nah. Those other guys get away, and they head towards like Africa. By the map that like, yeah, I can tell where they're headed, or looking where it's going. I was like, oh, that's like the North Africa.
Mm-hmm.
So they go. She's like, war's not over, and they're like, you're crazy. Fast forward time, they're like, crap, war's not over. so they redeploy her to go chase them down.
Mm-hmm.
And so then the end scene is like her there in the desert, like in front of like her little platoon or whatever, and she's just like gives this like super badass speech about like being X or God. Yeah, about how people are like, God's with us, like, yeah, you know, he's gonna help us fight this war. And she's just like, bro, F God, like, you're like, if there is a God, I'm gonna chop him up and feed him to the pigs. And her like face is getting all twisted, and she's just like shouting at the top of her lungs, and everybody's like, what was that? Huh? So it's a really cool speech, like really powerful, and then it ends there.
Yeah.
So you know that the war is gonna continue of her like hunting them down and stuff. But
so, sorry to interrupt, but reading from the synopsis, it sounds like the movie actually picks up right there.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh, so maybe not a part 2, but rather it was setting up for the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. But yeah, no, this one, like the boxes that were checked for me is that it's like a war. I'm a huge fan of the war and not synopsis, but the strategy behind war and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. She's OP, but like being in the body of a little girl, it's like not OP. You know, like
So
It's like you wouldn't expect it.
yeah, exactly.
So she's OP because
So God at first gives her this, like, he visits this scientist in his dreams and tells him how to make this like power gem that they use to harness the magic in the world.
Oh, yeah.
He gives him like the schematics to an upgraded one,
Mm-hmm.
and they end up giving it to Tanya because God at first, or being X at first, thinks that like oh, if I give you a miracle, that'll make you realize that like
God,
you gotta worship me, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like where she gets that OP-ness from. But then like, I don't like the interference of an omnipotent power though. He keeps like, they use that as a driving force for like problems and stuff. Like she kills this one guy.
Yeah.
And he gets like these glowing yellow eyes like she has.
Yeah.
And he's all like, I've seen God and he wants me to kill you. And then like near the end, that guy's daughter gets the glowing eyes and she enlists in the military. So I was like, okay, part 2, I guess she's going to go hunt Tanya down.
Yeah.
Because God, or being X, is telling her to. And so I'm not a fan of that, of just like, despite efforts, it doesn't matter if there's an omnipotent, all-powerful being. You know what I'm saying? Like it kind of defeats the struggle for me. But no, definitely really good. It's really gritty. It's a really gritty anime. So if keep that in mind if y'all want to go watch that.
I'll definitely go watch it.
I definitely recommend it. Yeah, it's darker. There's no comedy. It's heavy action.
I love comedy.
Yeah, right. But yeah, no. So that's a really good one. I'm trying to think. Let me see. JT ReZero. You got any ReZero news? Any ReZero feels? Thoughts, comments, concerns?
No? All right, let's move on.
Yeah, yeah, right.
JT's going to get into ReZero like for an hour.
I could literally talk about ReZero.
Well, I feel like it's one of the bigger ones, definitely worth giving some notes on, as far as like maybe someone's out there wants to watch it, was thinking about it, hesitant on it.
Ev was hesitant on it.
Ev, what'd you think about it?
ReZero?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I wasn't really ready for it whenever I saw the first episode.
That's
It
the
kinda
thing.
Is that
threw
the
me, like-
is that the one that threw you the
Yeah,
threw
the one,
fantasy
like-
off for you?
Yeah, I kind of like got a bitter taste in my mouth.
He just saw a
In a
couple
way.
of reptiles walking on the street.
No,
Yeah.
no,
He's
that's
like,
not
"Oh,
it. What? I
I
love
hate
all beings. No,
reptilians."
it's just the way it went about it, and I wasn't really ready for it. That's all.
He thinks like it kind of just threw you in there.
Mm.
It's like he was just reading a magazine. And I don't know. I don't know. I don't know his background story.
Yeah,
I'm like, why do you gotta know its background story?
because with all the other anime that I watched, it gave you like
brief-
this is
Yeah.
your character, this is the world he lives in, and like it kind of goes from there. With this one, it's all like, here's this guy. Okay, now he's over here, and like now.
And see, that's the reason is because.
All right,
it kinda
JT,
give you
your
his-
job is to convince Ev to watch ReZero.
I
How about
will.
that?
Okay.
Try my
Yeah,
best.
yeah.
So the reason why they throw him in like that is because they give you his background during the story. It takes place in the first 2 episodes,
And
where they
that's-
kind of go back to who his character is.
And that's what I tell Ev all like most of the time. I'm like, animes that don't give you the background story in the beginning is because like either the character A has like, secrets that like not only are they trying to keep it away from the characters, but they're trying to keep it away from like the reader, or like the viewer. So I'm like, you slowly start learning about this character.
Like you get puzzled in as all the
Mhm.
other characters do.
Yeah, like that one anime you watched where like she's like 4 chicks and like she's like super OP.
Huh?
It's like I told you to watch it.
The didn't I ask you to give me average
Yeah, that
powers
one.
in my next
Like,
life or something?
It's like you slowly start learning about her and
Yeah.
like just keeping it all away. Like
yeah.
it's like that one. Like it's like you don't even know about her, but you slowly start.
Yeah, they like piece you in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
And essentially his backstory isn't anything great. He was
Yeah.
just a neat, so all he did was stay at home, watch TV, read manga, stuff like that. Like his backstory isn't anything.
Just like
incredible.
Carlos.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Just like us.
Basically, Carlos. And so his backstory isn't anything grand, so that's why they didn't really feel the need to clue you in on what it was, just because he's a simple guy. There's
Mhm.
nothing really too special about him. I think it's interesting the take that they do with Isekai, because he didn't die to get to this world. They explained later on that he was basically summoned to the world by a being that they hint at the entirety of season 1. They bring up her name in the very first episode. They talk
La
about her-
Bruja.
La Bruja.
They talk about her in the second episode, and it's just a constant threat in the show that you're aware of, but you don't know much about.
Yeah,
Just
no, that's
looming
cool.
about.
That's cool. Like, no, it's like, I think it's best for the plot and your enjoyment, your viewing enjoyment, if they don't put all the cards on the table all at once. If they kind of, play close to the chest and they just give you like episode, and then it's like, boom, here's another little piece. And it's
Yeah.
just like, oh, what? Then you start kind of like filling in or connecting the dots. You're on your own, It's like, that's cool. I know like you're really big on doing that, JT, that like you start like analyzing, maybe one can argue over analyzing whenever they start like feeding you information, and whether that like ruins it for you later or if that like just gives you like super gratification, super
Mhm.
satisfying.
It
Like-
makes me happy because it means that what I'm thinking, I'm on the right track about it.
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
understand where it's going, and I'm really happy that I was able to figure it out.
Yeah, yeah,
That's how
yeah.
it goes for me. And honestly, ReZero scratches that itch really good.
Dope.
It's just really interesting because, to me at least, ReZero has really incredible world building. How they
Oh,
go
yeah.
about it is that he essentially ReZero is a more morbid Groundhog Day, because he at certain points in his life he'll get a quote unquote save point,
Checkpoint.
checkpoint. And
Bonfire.
What?
Bonfire.
Oh,
Lights the bonfire.
And
Takes a
so,
sip of the
Lit.
Escas fast.
and so every time he's killed in that world, he returns to his last
Yeah,
checkpoint.
yeah.
He doesn't get to choose where it goes. He doesn't get to choose how it happens. It just happens on its own. Certain
Mhm.
events in his life will just make it spawn spontaneously.
Yeah, I think that's definitely cool because it's like, by all means, that's like super OP, like the ability to do that.
Oh yeah,
But it's also, since he can't like,
Remember.
quick save,
Yeah.
it's like not,
like,
it's like it can be inconvenient.
And that's what's interesting because in a typical Groundhog's fashion, he relives the day and he relives it in different ways because he's trying to get the best, what he believes to be the best situation.
Yeah, it's like
Mm.
for any of you out there that play otome games, it's like you're just trying to get like the best route that like gives you like the win route.
Like Hitman, kind of like that.
And so,
yeah,
and so the nice thing about it is that it's all in the perspective of Subaru, the main character. So it's what he believes is the best route. Whether it actually is or not, that's
Yeah.
up to debate.
yeah, it's like it's best for him,
Mm-hmm.
and that's cool. The character flaws are cool. So it's like
is
if he ends up and then so like my main problem with this anime that I've talked to you about several times is that like I feel like sometimes it's like forced character flaws. Like anyway, I don't want to go into it, but
no, that's okay. See,
maybe
because-
another episode. But
And so to me, I feel like it has, because of his character flaws, it gives him a really good character arc of how he
Yeah.
goes through it, you know?
So it's like a certain episode, like he just kind of breaks down, but that whole breakdown gives him like a realization that like, I shouldn't be like this, and it's just like it kind of gets way better after that, Like you know what I'm talking about, right, JT?
Yeah. Where it gets to a point where he kind of is going through some turmoil for a few episodes, and then he realizes he kind of gets put through the ringer a bit, and then he realizes that okay, maybe this isn't really what's the best thing.
yeah, it's the you said it's like that the arc of just like character development. But like my issue with that is that it felt forced at points to get to that point. So like for example, there's this anime that I was telling you about where it's like my next life as a villainess or something like that, which actually fits because it is an isekai. She dies.
Whoa, no way.
And gets reborn in this world. It's this fantasy world where she's the princess who marries the prince of this otome game, and she's played it before. She knows how it ends, and she knows that all endings lead to death for her character, right? So, but my problem that I have with that anime, because there's a webtoon that's very similar to that, right? And it's like living as the prince's wife or something like that.
Something like that.
But they're very similar. It's the same thing where like she gets put in this world and she knows that like her character ends up dying in this like popular story. However, in that one, it's the queen is plotting for her and the prince's demise, right? So it's this external force that's doing stuff to thwart her, and so now she's trying to navigate this whole political like royalty-ness to survive. Now, but in the anime one, the whole next life as a villainess, all routes lead to death, it's her own choice. It's so in the game, it's because like her character is just this like vile person who's just like, she's mean, she bullies a lot of people, and it like forces them to think negatively of her and to like want to, to push her to end up getting killed. So it's like, if she just decides to be a good person, decides to be nice to everybody, then they're not gonna kill her. It's like so. But they made her like an airhead to where like she's like, oh, oops, I said yes to marrying him, but if I said no, I would have lived a safe life, So it's like things like that. It's like they're forcing her to go down this path that's gonna get her killed, when it's as easy as just saying like, oh, have a nice day or something like that, So like in ReZero, it's like some of his decisions felt forced or like felt outside of his character. But again, I have to rewatch it so I can specifically point out those moments. But
I won't lie, there's like a lot of times ReZero fucking pissed me off, only because like he gets like sent to this world, right? And then he's like, oh, I'm a white knight to this I'm gonna be a simp to this girl, and I'm like, why?
Why?
And then like he's like, I love Amelia,
And so,
and then like he does everything for her, and like I feel like you're right, Carlos. All the decisions he's make is for like to be with Amelia, right? And it's like he could have done this, and it might have been a better choice, but it's it's for the story, you know. And I just kind of didn't agree with it, but like sure the ending was I love the ending, you know.
Yeah. No, and like I'm all about, like I said, it's like I love character flaws. It's like if if that's the character, if that makes sense. If it makes sense for the character to take that route, then it's perfect. I'm perfectly fine with it. It's like if it's a lame character, for example, Shield Hero, like it gave you that progression of like why he's turning people away. It makes perfect sense. It's like, do I like it? Do I agree with it? No. Did I want him to be a nice guy? Yes, but that doesn't fit that character arc. But a lot of things in ReZero, it made me feel like it was forced or it didn't make sense for his character. Like I said, I'd have to watch it again for it to make sense. I won't deny the fact that it's a good anime. It's like it's not my cup of tea. It's like with Ev, maybe you want to keep watching it. Maybe you.
I mean, I'll probably give it another try.
Yeah, maybe you'll end up really liking
just
it.
like watch the first 3 episodes and you decide whether you'll keep watching or you drop it.
Yeah.
But no, it's definitely like it's a heavy hitter. It's on the list for a heavy hitter. It got a second season. Right, second season or is it third?
Yeah, it's
second.
it's about to come out.
And
right?
I know that one has a lot of
July.
I know it has a lot of hype behind it. So it's definitely one to like keep an eye out. So don't like hear my words and be like, oh man, that anime sounds like it sucks. It's like, no, it's like it's built well. Like I enjoyed the first bit of it, but it's just certain
like,
parts of it I just
I
don't wanna
watched
keep
that
going.
anime and it fucking made me cry.
Yeah.
Like,
lots of anime
Shay,
make me
like,
cry.
You watch anime and it's like I didn't like that, but there might be something about your favorite anime that you don't like, right? Certain character, certain like trope. But it's like this anime is really good. You can trust my word.
Yeah.
Please
Diego
believe me.
approved. Slap
Diego
the stamp on it.
Yeah.
Yo, but to be real though, Diego has some really good suggestions when it comes to anime.
Yeah.
Like, I think every single anime he's ever recommended to me, it's always been it's been solid, like 9 to 10 out of 10.
Is that what's it called? The one great teacher on Izuka.
Great teacher on Izuka. That one's pretty good. But that's not an isekai nor a fantasy one, so we'll just have to save that for another episode.
But just imagine.
Yeah, right. Just imagine. He wakes up and he's actually like some elf or something.
No,
but
you ruined it.
Now let's see. Do we have time to talk about another one?
I don't think
I
so.
I think we do if we make it kind of quick.
Yeah. See, but these are like, I don't know. These are good.
Part
like,
2?
Part 2?
Part 2?
Hey, y'all let us know if y'all want a part 2 of
Audience
this
part 2?
anime. Yeah. Audience
We're
part 2.
running out of time here anyway.
Yeah, it's better to wrap it up because I don't want to rush like Overlord. Definitely don't want to rush through that. Like, I want to have
there's a lot to go into Overlord, especially since like there's 3 seasons of Overlord.
Unconfirmed season
You
4.
can like pick out every little thing because you've watched it like 20 times or something.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah, and if there's an
Probably.
anime that we talked about or didn't talk about, and you want us to go, get into it, just let us know.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite isekai that we did not cover? I kind of want to say fantasy. Like, if you have a favorite fantasy, but that might be too broad.
No, fantasy in there.
Fantasy? Yeah.
Usually most isekai fall under the fantasy genre.
Very true, very true. Yeah, so if y'all have a fantasy or an isekai anime that we didn't cover and you want to hear us cover or you just want to talk about, hit us up. Our Twitter account is @bowlofmen. If you're not a fan of social media, you can hit us up at bowlofmen@gmail.com. That's our email. Toss us an email or DM us. We'll open up a discussion, talk about it. Yeah, I mean, let us know if y'all want to an episode or a part 2 of the isekai coverage.
If a lot of people like this, then we'll probably do a part 2.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I love isekai. I definitely want to talk about it. Yeah, make this a 2-hour episode. Let's do it. Definitely that is the show for today. Definitely catch us next time, and we'll see you later.